Hello and welcome to Nana's Crafty Home. My name is Tanya. Today's tutorial is going to show you how to complete the Light Me Up Snowman hat that you can find as a free pattern on my website. This hat is very whimsical, quirky, and fun, easy to work up, very simple. It's actually worked from the bottom up, so we're going to start here at the bottom. It's worked in one piece, so we work all the way through the top of the hat, all in one piece, and then adding the brim on later, making the scarf, and then sewing on buttons and the little carrot nose that we have here. So a very simple, easy to work up pattern that I think you're going to really like. So as it's written, and as we're going to be working it up today, the pattern stitch counts are going to be to fit an adult size head. However, it's very easily customizable to any size. Essentially, what you will do is you will adjust your first chain or your foundation single crochet, whichever one you choose to do, to the size of head that you are wanting to work with. And then as you work through the pattern, you will just continue on doing increases or decreases as the pattern states, and your hat will fit the size head that you're looking at. So very easy to resize, fun pattern. So I think everyone in the family is probably going to want one of these cute little guys. So the yarn that I used for my design for the main body, so the majority of the yarn that you're going to be using is what I call color B, because we're starting with it second, and it's the Lion Brand Homespun. And I used the Heppel white color. Rest of the hat I made with a worsted weight. I just used what I had on hand, which was a Red Heart Super Saver. I used a black for the brim for the bottom of the hat. Also, that same black is used for the hat, and then I used a red worsted weight, the Red Heart Super Saver for the scarf and the hat brim here, and then just the tiniest little bit of scrap piece of orange for his nose. So I've also seen this worked up. I've also worked it up myself in another chunky yarn. The homespun is a chunky size 5, and you could substitute another white chunky yarn. It works up quite well in other yarns as well. The other things you're going to need for this is embroidery thread to sew on your buttons. I needed 2 small buttons for the eyes. The size that I use for mine is ½ inch. And then I used 3 medium black buttons, 3/4 inch black buttons for the front of the snowman here. Other than that, you need 2 crochet hooks. We're going to start with a smaller crochet hook, a size I, which is a 5.5 millimeter hook. We're going to be using that hook for any part of the pattern that is using the worsted weight yarn. So we're going to start with our smaller hook, and when we're working with the chunky yarn with the homespun, we're going to use the larger hook, which is the size K, or the 6.5 millimeter hook. So you will also need some polyfill for the snowman head if you want to go ahead and stuff him. Another great idea is if you want to wear this as a bun hat, you could pull this down tight to the head, and your hair bun would fit in his head and then keep it from collapsing and getting all wobbly. So whatever you choose to do. So to get started on our hat, we're going to get color A, which is the black worsted weight yarn, onto our smaller hook, the I hook. And I work this using the foundation single crochet. I like to use foundation rows on hat brims. They're a little bit looser than what a traditional chain single crochet would be. Those have a tendency of being a little tighter to the head. And I do like some of the flexibility that that foundation single crochet row will give to my hat. But you can certainly choose either way. I'm going to go ahead and do 62 foundation single crochets, but if you were to chain and single crochet into your chain, you would want to chain 62, slip stitch to the first stitch to form a circle, then chain 1 and single crochet in the same chain and in each chain around to give you a total count of 62 single crochets. But we're going to go ahead and do a foundation single crochet. And if you've never done a foundation single crochet and you want a tutorial, I will include a video to show you how to do a foundation single crochet, but just go ahead and do 62 of those. 1, 2, 3. So once you've completed 62 foundation single crochets, we're going to be careful here and not twist that foundation row, and we're going to slip stitch into that first stitch to form a circle. And you're going to end up with this little gap right here between each end, which is fine. What we'll do is when we go to weave in this end, I'll just go ahead and close that gap up and then weave in the end, so you'll never see that when you're finished. So once you have your circle, you're going to go ahead and chain 1, and you're going to single crochet in the same stitch and in every stitch around. So you will end up with 62 stitches. Then we will slip stitch to that first stitch of the round to complete the round. And I'm going to complete this row and then repeat it up through round 9. So I'm going to have 9 complete rows of single crochets. So go ahead and continue on single crocheting in each stitch around, completing each round with a slip stitch join at the end, chain 1 and single crochet in each stitch. And repeat that for a total of 9 rows, including your first foundation row. So once you've finished row 9 and you've counted to make sure that you are ending row 9 with 62 stitches, we're going to go ahead and bring in color B, which is our chunky Lion Brand homespun white yarn for the main body of our snowman. And we're going to do that by going ahead and beginning our slip stitch join to that first stitch, but instead of finishing it with our black yarn, we're going to go ahead and bring in that color B. And at this point we can go ahead and break or fasten off color A. And we're also going to change out our hook from that smaller size hook to our larger K hook. And the rest of the main body of the snowman until we get to his hat is going to be using this larger crochet hook. So for row 10 with color B, our size K crochet hook, we're going to go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. That does count as our first stitch for this row. And then I'm going to just simply double crochet in every stitch around, working in both loops. So just go ahead and work throughout this round a double crochet in every stitch, working through both loops. Alright, so once we've come to the end of that round, go ahead and do your slip stitch to that first chain 3, and then we're going to start round 11. Round 11 is a simple chain 3, which again counts as a stitch, and now we're going to be working at double crochet in every stitch in the back loops only. So for this entire round, and actually through round 17, we're going to be working all of our stitches in the back loops of the previous round's stitches. So for round 11, 12, and 13, you're simply going to work a double crochet in every stitch around in the back loops only. So go ahead and work your 3 rows, and when we come back we will start working on our decreases. So once we've completed round 13, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch to the top of chain 3 from the beginning. And now for row 14, we're going to begin our decreasing. So this is going to be just working simple double crochet decreases throughout this round, which is going to begin decreasing the size of the body of our hat. But to start out, just go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then again, working in the back loops only, we're going to work a double crochet decrease over the next 2 stitches. And to work a double crochet decrease, insert your hook in the back loop only, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook into the next back loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Work a double crochet in the next back loop, and then a double crochet decrease over the next 2 stitches. Double crochet in the next, and then continue repeating that on around, a double crochet and then a double crochet decrease over the next 2. Continue repeating that all the way around until you get to the last 2 stitches, and you'll work a double crochet decrease over the last 2 stitches. So after completing round 14 with a double crochet decrease over the last 2 stitches, make sure and count your stitches at this point. You should have 41 stitches, and then slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 to complete that round. For round 15, we're going to be decreasing again. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Double crochet over the next 2 stitches, again working in our back loops only. Double crochet in the next stitch, double crochet decrease over the next 2, and repeat that same sequence of stitches around until we get to the last stitch, and we will work a double crochet in that last stitch. Your stitch count at the end of this round will be 28, and then slip stitch to the top of the chain 3. So after completing round 15, I have 28 stitches completed, and I am slip stitching to the top of the chain 3 to join. For round 16, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and again another round of decreases. So in the back loop only, again, double crochet decrease over the next 2 stitches, double crochet in the next, and repeat that sequence around of double crochet, decrease over 2, and then double crochet in the next stitch. With the completion of round 16, you will end up with 19 stitches, so make sure and count that, and then slip stitch join at the top of that chain 3 to complete the round. For round 17, we're going to be just doing now a round of half double crochets, chain 2. That does count as your first stitch. You are going to work in the back loops only, and you will complete a half double crochet in every stitch around. After completing round 17 with 19 stitches, go ahead and slip stitch to the top of that chain 2 to join. We're going to begin working on the head of the snowman. And so we're going to start working in both loops only, working in single crochet, and this first round is going to be an increase round. So go ahead and chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, two single crochets in the next, single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and 2 single crochets in the next. Continue that sequence around, and in your last stitch will be a single crochet. You will end up with 25 stitches at the end of this round. With 25 stitches, go ahead and slip stitch to the top of that first single crochet to join. And then for round 19, I'm going to go ahead and repeat round 18 by chaining 1, single crocheting in the same stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, 2 single crochets in the next, and repeat that same sequence around. 1 single crochet in the next 2, 2 single crochets in the next. At the end of round 19, you will have a total of 33 stitches. Slip stitch join to the top of that first single crochet. Chain 1. For round 20, single crochet in the same stitch and in each stitch around. And so we will have the same amount of stitches at the end of our round 33. Go ahead and single crochet around, slip stitching at the end to join, and you will repeat that same stitch pattern for round 21 through 23. So you will have 4 rows of single crochet. So go ahead and complete that, and when we come back, we will start on round 24 and our decrease rounds. So at the end of round 23 with 33 stitches, go ahead and slip stitch join to that first single crochet from the round, chain 1. We're going to begin doing our decreases. Go ahead and work a single crochet in the same stitch, and then single crochet decrease over the next 2 stitches. And a single crochet decrease is inserting your hook into the next stitch, yarning over, pulling up a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3, and you've just completed a single crochet decrease. So we're going to repeat that stitch sequence all the way around by working a single crochet in the next stitch and then a single crochet decrease over the next 2 stitches. Repeat that around. You will have 22 stitches at the end of this round, and then slip stitch to the first single crochet to join. At the end of round 24 with 22 stitches, go ahead and slip stitch join to that first single crochet from the beginning of the round. For round 25, again, another single crochet decrease round, chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch, single crochet decrease over the next 2 stitches, single crochet in the next, and single crochet decrease over the next 2. Repeat that around to the last stitch, working a single crochet in your last stitch. You will end up with 15 stitches at the end of this round. At the end of round 25 with 15 stitches, go ahead and slip stitch to the first single crochet from the round. For round 26, we're just going to be doing a simple chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch and in each stitch around. And then once you've done that, we will begin working on the hat. So single crochet in every stitch. So at the end of round 26, you will have 15 stitches. We're going to begin working on our hat. So when we go ahead to do our slip stitch join, we're going to be switching back to color A, which is the black worsted weight yarn that we use to begin our hat. Pull that yarn in, and you can break your yarn color B. We're also going to switch back to our size I smaller crochet hook to work the rest of the hat pattern. And we're going to be working in the back loops only. And the reason we're going to be doing that for this round only is that is the place where we're going to be coming back to work our hat brim. So we're going to come back and work in those unused front loops that we are not using for this round to work that. So for this round, the first round of the hat, go ahead and chain 1 and work 2 single crochets in that same stitch, making sure that we're working throughout this round in the back loops only. So 2 single crochets, and then we're going to work a single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in the next. And continue that on around, working a single crochet in the next 2, 2 single crochets in the next, and you will end up with 20 stitches at the end of this round. So at the end of that round 1 of the hat, you're going to have 20 stitches. Go ahead and slip stitch join to the beginning first single crochet of that round. Now we're going to begin working in both loops, and for this round we're just going to chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch and in each stitch around. So you will just continue that on throughout this round, ending with 20 stitches. This will also be repeated up through round 6 of the hat. So go ahead and complete 5 rows of single crochet rounds, and we will go ahead and come back and finish our hat. After you've completed round 6, again, you will have 20 stitches, slip stitch to the top of that first single crochet, and we'll begin working the top part of the hat. We're going to be working in the back loops only again, chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch, working in the back loop, and then we're going to be working a single crochet in the back loop of every stitch. Once you're finished, single crocheting in every stitch in the back loop only, slip stitch to the top of the first stitch, and you will have again 20 stitches. With 20 stitches, slip stitch join to that first single crochet. For round 8, we're going to be working in both loops, chaining 1, and we're going to be working a round of single crochet decreases throughout this round. So after your chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch in both loops, single crochet decrease over the next 2 stitches, single crochet in the next 2 stitches, single crochet decrease over the next 2, single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and continue that around to the last stitch with a single crochet in your last stitch. You will have a total of 15 stitches at the end of this round. So at the end of round 8, with 15 stitches, slip stitching to join to the beginning. Round 9 is our final round for our hat, another decrease round. So chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch, single crochet, decrease over the next 2 stitches, and continue repeating a single crochet decrease over the next 2 stitches all the way around the hat. So at the end of round 9, I will have a total of 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So now we're going to fasten off. We're going to leave a tail long enough to sew the top of that hat shut. And we're going to sew the top of that hat closed. So basically what you're going to see here is, because I did that at the top of the hat, I worked at that one round in the back loops only, it's going to just naturally cause the top of that hat to fold together and close. So you're going to just end up with a very small hole to sew. Go ahead and just use a couple of stitches here to tighten the top of that hat closed. And that's how easy and simple that is to finish that hat top. You could go ahead and weave in this end at this point. And so now we're going to come back. See, it's all closed up here. We're going to come back and work that hat brim with the smaller hook, color A on your smaller hook. We're going to be working in those unused loops from that first round of our hat. So what we're going to be doing is attaching to any one of those unused front loops. And I'm going to want to do that pretty much where my seam is at, so that way all my seams are staying on the back side of my hat on the same side. And chain 1, and then work 2 single crochets in that same stitch, and in every unused loop work 2 single crochets. Because there were 15 stitches in that round, and you're working 2 stitches in each one of those loops, you're going to end up with a total of 30 stitches. So just continue working 2 single crochets in every unused loop. When you get to the end of that round, go ahead and slip stitch join to the beginning stitch, chain 1, work 2 single crochets in that same stitch, a single crochet in the next, and 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Go ahead and repeat that stitch sequence around. So once you've completed that round, go ahead and slip stitch join, and now you will go ahead and fasten off, as we are now finished with the hat. And you can see here, look how cute that is. And so at this point, I would recommend going ahead and weaving in the ends from your hat, and we will go ahead and begin on the hat band. That will sit right here, and we will sew that on to the hat there. So for the hat band, you're going to be using the red or any other color that you choose, smaller crochet hook, and you can do either the foundation single crochet, or you can chain and work a single crochet in each chain, whichever you prefer for this. I'm going to do the foundation single crochet. One note I'm going to make about the foundation single crochet is that some people have a tendency of crocheting that much looser than they would the chain with the single crochet. So you can just kind of pay attention as your as your round is getting larger, just to see if it fits nicely around your hat brim. So just go ahead and do your foundation single crochet of 25 or your chain row, and then just verify that it fits nicely around that hat brim before you fasten off. So go ahead and do that. So once you've made that to the length desired, go ahead and, being careful not to twist that chain, slip stitch to the first stitch to form a ring, and then you fasten off, and you're going to want to have enough yarn so that you can attach it to the hat and sew it in place. So you're going to want to match up the seam with the seam on the hat. So here's the seam for the back of that band, and the seam for the snowman is back here. So we're going to want to match that up and keep everything kind of in the same place, and put that on your hat. And just push it down to where it's kind of tight up against the bottom brim of that hat, so you can kind of hide. You can see here that you can see the white through, and so you're going to want to try to disguise that and cover it up, make it as invisible as possible. So you're going to push that down, and then simply attach that to your hat. And you can see here there's a little bit of a gap because I did do that foundation single crochet, so I'm just going to close that gap a little bit by pulling that together. And then your needle will just go through that band into your hat, and then just go throughout, and being careful not to push that needle all the way through your hat. You don't want to be catching the opposite side, but just go through a simple stitches attaching that. once you've gone all the way around your hat and it's firmly attached, go ahead and weave in that end. And once that is completed, I will come back and show you how to and where to attach the buttons for the eyes. Alright, so now that we've completed the hat, we're going to go ahead and attach the button eyes here for our snowman. And so you're going to get your small size buttons, and I'm using a 1/2 inch size, pretty small button here, and then decide where you would like to have the eyes on your snowman. And you can see here they're coming down. I would say the top of the button probably starts about 1 inch or so below the hat. They're even on both sides from the bottom of the hat. They're not cockeyed like this. We're making sure that they're even on both sides and that they're located where you like them to be, closer together. I like mine pretty close together, kind of like that. So then you are going to get your embroidery thread and your needle and just attach those, sew those on to your snowman. Once the first button is attached for the eye, go ahead and put the second one on there, making sure it's in the right place. And sew the second one on. So I have his button eyes on. Now it's time to put the 3 buttons down the front. So grab your bigger buttons here. And I basically just go off of where the eyes are and then kind of fall like halfway in between the eyes so that they're even, and then they're evenly spaced about 1 row apart on the body of the hat. And then you will just go ahead and sew those buttons in place. Alright, so now that we have the buttons all attached down the front, we're going to go ahead and make his nose. So with your orange color, we're going to take our smaller crochet hook and chain 2. 1, 2, and single crochet in that second chain from the hook, and then fasten off. Pretty simple here. So there's his little carrot nose, and we're going to attach that where we would like it. So I'm just going to put it in between the eyes, just down below. I would say it's down probably about 2 rows below the bottom of those buttons, and then sew that on. And then once you have it attached, go ahead and weave in the ends. I've gotten his carrot nose attached, so the next accessory for our snowman is going to be our scarf. So we're going to head back to our red color here, and with our smaller hook, we're going to do a very simple, easy scarf. So go ahead and chain 77. I've chained 77, so now we're just going to be doing a half double crochet in the second chain from the hook and in each chain to the end. Working in that second chain, go ahead and work a half double crochet and continue that half double crochet in each chain till the end. And then, so after that first row of half double crochets, we're going to turn our work, chain 2, half double crochet in the same stitch and in each stitch across to complete the scarf. Then just fasten off, and we will go ahead and add some fringe to the ends of the scarf. So I've completed that second row of half double crochets. Go ahead and fasten off, and let's add fringe. So I've cut some pieces of yarn equal in length. This is a pretty short fringe. You can see here it ends up being pretty short on my scarf, and so you don't need terribly long strands. So I've taken 3 here, and then I've got my hook, and I'm going to pull those 3 strands through about halfway in between. Just pull those up through the end of the scarf. So that you have this loop, and then you're going to thread the ends through that loop, and then just gently tug and pull until that loop is up tight against the end of your scarf. And so just continue with that. I did 3 of those on the ends of each of the scarf for mine. You could certainly do fewer than that if you wish, and then you'll just cut it to the length that you want, so that all matches and it's the length and looks good on your scarf. So go ahead and continue with that. So we finished the fringe, finished the scarf. We're going to go ahead and just tie that on our little snowman hat here. You could go ahead and do a simple little tack down on this if you wanted, so that it wouldn't fall off your hat, you wouldn't lose it in a wind. I would just recommend on the back side of it just doing a simple tack down with some red yarn. But isn't he absolutely adorable? He is so cute. This is going to be easy to make for any size, anyone in the family, and you're going to have a lot of fun making this. Your kids are going to love it. Everybody's going to want one of these. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial today. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get notified when I post a new video. This pattern is a free written pattern on my website at www.nanascraftyhome.com. And you can just search in there for the Light Me Up Snowman hat pattern. I have another pattern in the series, the Light Me Up Christmas Tree hat, if you're interested in that as well. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, and Instagram for further crochet daily inspiration. I've had a lot of fun doing this video for you today. Take care, everyone. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.